Algebra 2 students to the homework help video, page 161. Let's get into this right away. Okay, number 7 is solving a linear three-variable equation. You should notice this will be pretty simple because we already know what z equals. Z equals 3. So we're trying to solve for three variables, x, y, and z. We know one of the answers already is 3. Now, I can substitute 3 in for z here or here, but it won't help me to substitute it in up here because I'll still be left with an x and a y. So I'm going to substitute my 3 in for z right here. So I would have y, negative 3, and then z. Z's 3 equals negative 7. Negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Bring the negative 9 over and make it a positive 9. And y equals 2. So we're looking pretty good here. Now, I know my y is 2 and my z is 3, so I can substitute those into the first equation right here. So I have x, then positive 4, then 2 for y, and then positive, and then 3 for z. Positive 4 times positive 2 is 8. A positive 3 is a positive 3. Combine those two. Positive 8, positive 3, positive 11. Bring your 11 over, make it negative 11, and x equals 1. And that is the correct answer. On a test or a quiz, you can pick up all three numbers, substitute them in for the x's, the y's, and the z's, and you should get out 3 true statements. Okay? Alright, now the next 4 problems will be a little more challenging, so here we go. When I look at this problem here, I want to obviously eliminate either my x's, or my y's, or my z's. Now x's look pretty good, but z's are the best. I mean, look, you already have 2 z's that'll cancel right here, okay? So I'm going to eliminate my z's. My goal is to get 2 equations with the same 2 variables. So I'm going to take these 2 equations here, and I'm going to add them together. I will get 4x positive 37y equals 76. These canceled. Okay? So I have one equation that has 2 variables. That's really good, okay? I'm going to shrink it, put it over here for later, alright? Now, I'm going to eliminate z's using 2 other equations. Don't forget, you already used the bottom 2 equations. So we have to use the top and the bottom, or the top 2. Well, when I look at the top 2, I notice one is positive, one of my z's is positive, and one of my z's is negative. I like that. I could multiply the top equation here by a 2, and that would give me a 2x or 2z here. So I'm going to take the top 2 equations, and I'm going to use them. I'm going to multiply the top equation by 2. So 2 times x is 2x, 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times z is 2z. Also, don't forget to multiply the 2 times the 20, which is 40. Now, bring down your second equation, which is x positive 10y negative 2z equals 18. And let's combine these two, and we're left with 3x positive 28y equals 58. These cancel. Okay, so I'm looking really good, guys. I've got 2 equations now that have the same 2 variables, okay? And here they are. Here's the first one right here. And here's the second one right here. Now, I think it'd be easiest to eliminate my x's. So I want, if I had fractions with a 3 in the bottom and a 4 in the bottom, my common denominator would be 12. So I'm going to make both of these 3's and 4's become 12's. I'm going to multiply the top equation by 4. That'll give me a 12, and the bottom equation by negative 3. That'll give me a negative 12. So here we go. 12x plus let's see, 32. I could do it in my head. I'm not going to take a chance. Since it's so easy to make mistakes with these problems, I'm going to use a calculator. 112y equals 58 times 4, 232. And that's what calculators are there for, guys, to use them in situations like this with big numbers. Negative 3 times 12 is negative 12x. Negative 3 times 37 would be negative 111. And then negative 3 times 76 is negative 228. So combine these two. These cancel. We're left with 1y equals 4. Alright? So we know that y equals 4. Now, to be honest with you, we can substitute that in for here, 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 or here. But if I erase this, I have got a little bit of space right here I can use. And that's what I'm going to do. So my answer so far, I've got a 4 right here for y. Well, let's see, 37 times 4 is going to give me 148. Next, we'll bring the 148 over and make it a negative 148. And we're left with 72, negative 72. So x would equal a negative 18. Divide both sides by 4. So we're looking pretty good so far. Now, I can substitute negative 18 in for x, 4 in for y, and solve for z. You can use any of these equations. Usually I use this one right here because I have space. But with all these big numbers right here, I'm not going to use the bottom equation. I'm going to use the top one. So for x, I'm going to put negative 18. Then positive 9 times y is 4. And then positive z right here then equals 120. So a negative 18 is a negative 18. 9 times 4 is 36. Positive z equals 120. Combine your like terms, negative 18 and positive 36. That'll give you a positive 18. Now let's see here. Not sure where I got 120 from, but this should be 20. There we go. Bring the 18 over and make it a negative 18. And z equals 2, which is the correct answer. Okay, so there we go. On a test or a quiz, you could take those three values, substitute them into all three equations, and when you would definitely get out 3 true statements. Alright, moving on to number 22. Well, guys, I don't know about you, but I can see right away that the z's are the best ones to cancel. Look at that, just change signs. So I'm going to eliminate my z's. So I'm going to take the first two equations right here, okay? And I'm going to combine those, but first I'm going to go through my top equation and change all the signs. Now, if you chose, you could do it to the second equation. It doesn't matter. You can change all of the signs in the first or second equation. Now, the reason I'm going to go through and change all the signs is I want my z's to cancel. If I want my z's to cancel, one of the twos must be positive, one of them must be negative, okay? So I'm going to go through and change all my signs in the top equation. So my 2x becomes negative, my negative 4 becomes positive, my positive 2 becomes negative, my 16 becomes negative. Now my second equation doesn't change. It stays the same, negative 2x, positive 5y, positive 2z equals negative 34. Let's add these two equations together and let's see what happens. Negative 4x, positive 9y. These cancel, equal negative 40, negative 50 actually. And there we go. So I have one equation that has two variables. We'll put it down here for right now. Okay? Now notice I used my top two equations So now I have to use my top one and my bottom one, or my middle one and my bottom one. It doesn't matter, students, okay? It really doesn't. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and take my bottom two equations here. Now, I'm trying to eliminate my c's again, so I want this to become negative or this to become negative. So you're either going to multiply this equation here by a negative sign, or you're going to multiply this bottom equation by a negative sign. It doesn't matter. I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by a negative sign, so my middle equation stays negative 2x, positive 5y, positive 2z equals negative 34. Now take your negative sign and multiply it through. Your positive x becomes negative. Your negative 2 becomes positive. Your positive 2 becomes negative. And your positive 4 becomes negative. Negative 2, negative 1, that's negative 3x. 5 and 2 is a 7y. These cancel. Negative 34, negative. Okay, students, sorry I'm back. I forget where I was. We had some kids in our neighborhood banging on our door and running down the road. It took at 1:50 in the morning, so I went outside to try to catch them, and I could not. So here we go. Let's see, negative 34, negative 4. That's why I'm out of breath, because I'm old and out of shape. Alright, negative 34, negative 4 would give you a negative 38. Alright, I hope I've not made any little mistakes here. So I have successfully come up with two equations that have the exact same two variables, so hopefully we can use that. Alright, so here we go. Now, let's solve this simple two-variable equation. I'm going to make the 3 and the 4 become a 12. They're both negative. So I'm going to multiply the top by a negative 4 and the bottom by a positive 3. Okay, that will give me a positive 12x, a negative 28y, and a positive, because a negative times a negative is positive. Let's see, 38 times 4 is 152. We have some pretty big numbers, but again, that's what your calculator's for. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12x. 3 times 9 is a positive 27. And 3 times negative 50 is negative 150. Alright, so these will cancel. That leaves with a negative y equals 2. So y equals negative 2. Okay, so there we go. Hopefully that's right so far. So for my answer so far, I know the middle number here, y, is negative 2. Now I can substitute negative 2 in for y for any of these equations. I'm going to use this one here because I have space. So negative 4x, positive 9, parentheses, negative 2 equals negative 50. Negative 4x, 9 times negative 2 is negative 18, equals negative 50. Bring your 18 over and make it a positive 18. And we should be left with negative 4x equals negative 32. Divide both sides by negative 4, and a negative divided by a negative is positive. 32 divided by 4 is 8. So we'll put an 8 right here. And now, guys, to wrap this up quickly, although I guess you really can't do these problems quickly, but I'm going to substitute my 8 in for x and my negative 2 in for y in this bottom equation. So I'll put an 8 for x and a negative 2 in for y. And here we go. Positive 8 is positive 8. Negative times a negative is a positive 4. Positive 2z equals 4. 8 plus 4 is 12, so we have 12 positive 2z equals 4. Bring the 12 over and make it a negative 12. Negative 12 and 4 is a negative 8. Divide by 2 and z equals a negative 4. And so hopefully we have the right answer. Let's see if we do. Good, we do. Now if you were to take this answer here and substitute it into each one of these equations, you would get out 3 true statements. That's a great way to check your answers on your tests and quizzes. Alright, number 25, here we go. Now for me, I definitely don't want to eliminate my C's. That's not going to work. And my X's either. I mean, it would work, but it'd be a lot of work. Y's are my best bet, so I'm going to eliminate my Y's, okay? So, first of all, I see a -2 and a -2. So I'm going to take these bottom two equations, and I'm going to change all of the signs in this middle equation. So my 3x becomes negative. My -2y becomes positive. My +8 becomes negative. And my 14 becomes negative. My bottom equation stays the same, so 2x, -2y, +5c equals 7. And here we go. These will cancel, leaving us with -x, -3c equals -7. Alright? So there we go. That's one equation that has two variables. Now, I use my bottom two equations, so I cannot use those again, alright? So let's use my top two equations. I have a +1 right here and a -2. Don't forget you're eliminating y's, so you have to stick with eliminating your y's. So, I'm going to multiply this top equation by 2. 2 times y will give me a 2y, which will cancel with my -2y. So 2 times -x is -2x, 2 times y is a +2y, 2 times -3 is a -6c, and 2 times -4 is -8. Your middle equation does not change. 3x -2y +8c equals 14. Now let's see what we have here. These will cancel. -2 +3 is x. +2c equals 6. So I have an equation with an x and a z, an equation with an x and a z, so I hope that I've not made any of those silly little mistakes, alright? But it does happen, so when it happens, you just kind of start over. Now it looks like my x's are all ready to eliminate, which is really good. I love that. So add these two together, those eliminate. I'm left with -c equals -1. Now if -c equals -1, then obviously z is going to equal 1. So I've got the z answer so far, 1. Now I can take this 1 for c and substitute it into either one of these two equations. It really doesn't matter which one, okay? I'll just use the bottom one here. So -x, -3 times 1 for c equals -c. -3 times 1 is -3. Bring your -3 over and make it a +3. So we're left with -x equals -4. If -x equals -4, then x equals 4. Okay? So here we go. We'll put a 4 right here and then put a comma. Now, we know what x is and we know what z is. All that we have to do now is find the value of y. So I'm going to use, I guess this bottom equation here works pretty good for me. So 2 times x, 2 times 4, -2y, then a +5, and then z is 1 equals 7. 2 times 4 is 8. Bring down your -2y. 5 times 1 is 5. Bring down your equals 7. Combine your like terms, +8, +5. So -2y, +13 equals 7. Bring your +13 over and make it a -13. That should leave you with -2y equals -6. Divide both sides by a -2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive, so your y should be a 3. Now if I've made a mistake, we'll go back and find it. And it looks like I have not. Okay, so if you were to pick up this answer and substitute it into all three equations, you would get out 3 true statements. Okay? That's a great way to check your answer. If you're checking your answer on a test or a quiz and you do not get out 3 correct, 3 true statements, then you know your answer is wrong, or maybe when you're checking it, you're making a mistake. That would be a possibility also. Alright, number 27, last one, and we're finished. x's right here, and actually something weird is going to happen. I'm going to take my top equation and my bottom equation and add those together. Now please watch what happens when I do this. Are you ready? Watch this. 2x. You say, well, Mr. Arrow, you didn't tell me which variable I'm trying to get rid of. Okay, fine. X's. It really doesn't matter. You're going to see what happens. We're going to try to get rid of our x's. 2x and negative 2x. Your x's cancel. Look at your y's. Positive 6, negative 6, they cancel. So your x's are gone, your y's are gone. You now have a negative 4 and a positive 5. That's a positive 1z equals 8, negative 3. That's 5. So look at that. You added two equations together in such a way that your x's canceled, your y's canceled, and you're left with z equals 5. You know part of the answer now. Look up here, look. Z is 5, okay? So that's a big help when that happens, okay? So I'll put a 5 right here. Now watch what I'm going to do next. So I know Z is 5. I'm going to erase this. I'm really not trying to eliminate a variable now. I just realized I know what Z is. So guys, if I take, you don't want to use the two same equations. Let me say that again. You do not want to use the same two equations. You used equation top and bottom. Don't use those again. So I'm going to take my bottom two equations, and where my z is, I'm going to put a 5. So watch what happens. I have 3x, positive 10y, negative 7c equals 12. Alright? Then take your bottom equation, negative 2x, negative 6y, positive 5, and then for the z right here, I'm going to substitute 5. Now, why would I do that? Because my z's are gone. This is going to leave me with two equations that have x's and y's. Come on, guys, think about it. If I'm able to come out of this with two equations with x's and y's, I know how to solve that. So I have 3x, positive 10y, negative 35 equals 12. Right? Now bring the 35 over and make it a positive 35, and I have 47 on the right side. 47 on the right side equals 47. Now same thing here. Negative 2x, positive 6y equals, no, positive 25 equals negative 3. So bring the 25 over and make it a negative 25. You have negative 25, negative 3. That's negative 28. And now I have two nice equations with two variables. I can quickly solve those and be done with it. Alright? I can quickly solve those like I know how to do and know what x and y equal. And here we go. So multiply my top equation by 2 and my bottom equation by 3. That'll give me a positive 6 and a negative 6. So here we go. 6x, positive 20y equals 94. Negative 6x, positive 18y equals negative 84, I believe. Yes, that's correct, 84. Now, combine these two and we get 38y equals, oh my goodness, I've made a big mistake somewhere, I'm sure. I hate to go back and have to find that. Okay, well, here we go. That's what happens sometimes. What am I solving for? Y. Y is supposed to be 5. I wonder what 38 times 5 is. 190. Okay, let me pause the video and find my mistake. You guys probably know where it is. You're probably laughing, but here we go. Okay, I'm back, students. Pretty painless process. It's right here in front of me. When I brought down my negative 2x, my negative 6y, I made it a positive 6y. It's so easy to do, guys. So this will be a negative 18, which will give you a positive 2y equals 10. Now divide both sides by 2, and y equals 5. Okay? And that is the correct answer. I looked in the book here to see if I was on track. So your y value will be 5. So now I know the answers to y and z, correct? Sure, I do y and z. So if this is y and this is z, then I can substitute y and z in to one of these equations and solve for x. So negative 6 times 5, positive 5 times 5 equals negative 3. Negative 2x, negative 30, positive 25 equals negative 3. Negative 2x. Combine your two like terms, negative 5 equals negative 3. Bring your negative 5 over and make it a positive 5. Negative 2x equals 2. Divide both sides by negative 2, and x equals negative 1. And that is, thankfully, the correct answer. Alright, so there we go. Guys, these things do lend themselves for little mistakes, so be careful. As you've seen from me, I mean, you make little mistakes, it happens, so be careful. I hope this homework help video has been helpful. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email.